Hi. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Katie. I am a mom to two little boys. And I wanted to come on here today because I had someone reach out to me and ask me about clubbed feet. And if you don't know, if this is your first time on my channel, my youngest son, he's 3.5 years old now, almost 3.5. He was born with clubbed feet. And if you go back and look on my channel, when he was first born, I documented like every week with him because there's a lot of things that go on with clubbed feet that I couldn't find a lot of like mom to mom conversation about. Like it was really hard to find it on Instagram, really hard to find it on YouTube, where a mom's just being raw and real. So this is, first of all, my first time ever going live on here. I think I'm going live right now. I'm not really sure. This might be a recording and then I got to figure it out after. But I am on here because I wanted to talk a little bit about the ins and outs of dealing with my son with clubbed feet in the first, it was about the first 6 weeks, and then I'll go into a little bit less detail when we go past the first 6 weeks. So my son had bilateral clubbed feet, which means both of his feet are clubbed. We did foresee this. They saw it in the ultrasound at 20 weeks old in utero, and they diagnosed it, I guess you could say. And so we were aware of it. My son was also, again, I guess you'd say diagnosed, or they foresaw other problems, including a heart defect. I think that's actually all they saw on the monitor, or those crazy ultrasounds. We went for like really intense ultrasounds where he couldn't move, or I couldn't move. He was moving, to see his heart more. But my point of saying that is we actually weren't as worried about his clubbed feet because we were dealing with a heart issue. So we did not get a lot of information before he was born about clubbed feet because honestly I was more concerned about his heart. I am definitely a mother or a woman. I don't like to, let me rephrase this. As a mother, I did not want to do a lot of research, especially as a pregnant mother. I didn't want to do a lot of research online with my son's challenges because I was afraid that I would find worst case scenarios, afraid that I would find things that were going to make me more stressed out. So what we did was we got additional opinions. So I went right to the professionals, spoke to several different professionals in different hospitals, specialists, and things like that. And that's how we got our information. And then also I did, I'm going to be honest, I'm a Christian and I did a lot of praying and that helped get me through. So once my son was born, let's get on to like the actual clubbed foot part, or feet. After my son was born, his birth story, I'm not going to go into that. That's on my channel too. Go check that out. I'll link it below. But he had a hyperextended knee, or dislocated knee, I guess. So it was kind of confusing because I didn't think that had to do with clubbed feet, but they weren't really saying much to me because there were so many things going on. His heart was fine. But if you find that your child is forecasted to have clubbed feet while in utero, make sure they do a really good check of their heart because a lot of times clubbed feet and heart defects go together, and sometimes cleft palate and clubbed feet go together. So make sure they really are like checking all those things. Most doctors will know that, but just to like know what questions to ask. You can also go and see an orthopedic specialist before you even have your baby because they'll be able to kind of tell you what the process will be like. I'm just giving you my specific, what I went through with my son. So take this with a grain of salt, and then go talk to your professional about it. So once my son was born, we went down, I believe it was about a week later, we went down to have his feet casted for the first time. And what they do during this casting process is they're slowly trying to move or change how the bones are hardening and how the ligaments are kind of structuring. So when your babies are born, they're born with kind of like softer bones versus like hard because, first of all, they got to make it out of that birth canal, right? So they actually don't have like hardened bones yet. So as their bones are hardening up, how things are like forming into more permanent positions, they want to cast the baby's feet then so that it can kind of be in the right position. So what I will tell you about that, every time they get a cast, which for me, my son, his cast was changed once a week, which I believe that is about normal, they're really sore. Okay, so you think about that, like if you had a cast on that was moving a part of your body to try and get it to be repositioned in a position it didn't want to be in, you would be sore, right? So if you have other children, I would definitely suggest trying to maybe have them go with a family member or be babysat overnight so that you can be up probably most of the night with your baby that has the cast that's going to be uncomfortable. My son did not sleep very much at all. He was crying a lot. Every night that he had his cast done. So that was about once a week, and it took me a little while to figure that out, right? Because I'm like, what is going on? But again, lots of stuff going on, hormones, everything like that. And what I also will tell you is we did Tylenol, which did help. Now, if you're giving a baby a lot of Tylenol or Tylenol regularly, there's a lot of sugar in Tylenol. Well, there's sugar in Tylenol, especially children's, right? Excuse me. Now, that sugar builds up in their mouth. So you really have to make sure that you're washing out their mouth with a washcloth quite regularly, because what happens if that sugar builds up, it will create kind of like a yeast infection in their mouth or thrush. So my son had to deal with that because I didn't really realize how much sugar was building up. He was nursing, I did nurse, but I just wasn't cleaning his mouth out enough for the amount of sugar that he was getting in, if that makes sense. So that happened the first 6 weeks. Once a week we had to deal with the feet being casted. At the end of the 6 weeks, they had, I'm trying to think of what the surgery is called. They, it has to do with the Achilles tendon. I'm not going to remember the name of it, but basically they cut a little piece of it to help ease the tension in the heel, to help the heel kind of drop a little bit, because basically their foot's curled in and they need to have, this doesn't look right with my hand, but basically to drop their heel so that their foot's level versus, so it drops. Does that make sense? Probably not doing that right, but so it's routine to usually do that surgery. Sometimes they have to do a surgery with the tendons that go over the foot. I will say I believe they don't usually do that surgery till later if needed, but they do the Achilles surgery. And then I believe after that he was casted one more time with so that the back of his, because they do it like through the heel is where your Achilles is, so they casted him one more time. And then after that cast came off, then we started using braces. If your child doesn't have bilateral, meaning both feet, I'm not exactly sure if they do braces. They might have a brace for just one of that foot that is clubbed. But because my son, both of his feet were clubbed, he had braces on both feet, and then he had a bar in between to help keep them turned out. So I'm not exactly sure what that looks like for if you only have one foot, but if you have 2 feet clubbed, there's a bar and they're kind of pointed out. It kind of looks like a snowboard, honestly. It's not quite that thick. And he had to wear it 23 hours a day. So he was in that thing a lot. He got to basically take it off for bath time. But he wasn't as in much pain, because it wasn't like he was in that same position all the time. And it didn't change week to week anymore. Once he got used to it, he was used to it. So that's really, I think those are the basic things I want to tell you. My son is now 3.5. He still wears them at night. At 6 months old, he got to take them off for the 23 hours a day, and he just wore them for like 12 hours at night when he slept. And now he still does that. He wears them at night, and they're hoping when he's 4 he'll be able to have them off. So honestly, I can't wait for that day. Things to look out for when they do move on to the braces. Kind of like building calluses, like Any places it's rubbing, check their feet, make sure their toenails are clipped. It doesn't go around their toenails, but like just in case their boot's a little bit smaller as they grow into it, the edge of like their big toe or their little toe might, their toenail might be pushing on part of it. It's just the way that the braces are. So you want to make sure that they definitely have no calluses, or more so blisters. Calluses being built up are okay as long as they're not like in pain while it's building up. That's pretty much all I got for you. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm by no means any expert in this field. It's just what I went through, but I did want to share that because I don't think I had kind of specifically talked or done an update with my son with club feet. But go back, I will link the videos below and check those out. And yeah, thanks for watching and subscribe to my channel. I kind of do like all lifestyle videos. I haven't been on here for a while, so this is kind of a different kind of video that I'm doing right now. But I will talk to you all later. Thanks, bye.